He is the ex-pro vice chancellor of Rashtrasant Tukadoji Maharaj Nagpur University, Nagpur, and he is going to talk on analysis of COVID-19 impacts on Indian and world economy. I request Dr. Vinayak Deshpande sir to initiate his lecture. Over to you, Dr. Vinayak Deshpande sir. Please raise your hand, sir, so that we can identify you. Dr. Vinayak Deshpande sir, please raise your hand so that we can identify you. Please unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
sir. You're audible,
Can you
sir.
hear me? Yeah.
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Over to you.
Good morning, everybody. Dr. Khalsa Saab, principal of this great institute, Mandarbai Shikshan Prasarak Mandals, Mahatma Gandhi Arts, Science and late NP Commerce College, Armory. I must congratulate the college authorities for organizing such a wonderful international seminar, and international in real sense, where we have just listened to Dr. Eor. Thank you, Dr. Eor, for your wonderful presentation with a lot of mathematical equations, and I am sure researchers would be benefited by your lecture, especially the way you have made the predictions with the help of the process of simulation. Susceptibility, infected, and how it is removed. All these three things are equally relevant for the country like India. And we have been working for Maharashtra state, where we found maximum cases now. And your paper relating to this prediction, I'm sure would be very useful. The important points which you have made, sir, I think that would go in a long way to make understand how this particular problem is becoming acute in many of the countries, including country like India, and therefore certain changes need to be brought in the whole system. I believe that the thing which you have pointed out, I call it as TICH, STICH. S for social distancing, T for testing aggressively, I for isolation, old as well as affected, and care for isolated and work from home. If we follow strictly these principles, as you have mentioned, we would be able to not actually overcome, but I am sure would be able to face certain challenges which are arising out of this COVID-19. So thank you so much, Yorsa, for your presentation, and we look forward to your articles and guidance for Indian situation. Thank you so much. We have amongst us Dr. Pramod Mungate, good friend of mine, Dr. Pramod Gawai from Mumbai, and Vishnu Barawat from Israel. Thank you so much, Dr. Khalsa Saab, for giving me an opportunity to make presentation relating to the analysis of COVID-19, and I'm going to show the impact on Indian and world economy. The way Dr. Ihor made his presentation with the help of the kind of techniques which he has used, I would try my best not to make use of these techniques at this moment, and would try to show the results relating to how one can analyze COVID-19 impact on India and world economy. Friends, as we all know, that we have also started the process of unlocking the economy, and therefore the basic problem was relating to the health, and then it got converted in the economic problem also. So we need two doctors, one who would deal with health issues of the economy, and other doctor, economist, who would take care of the economy of the individual countries. And both the doctors' role, I consider, are equally important in the present day situation. So going back to the presentation, what I feel that when we consider the economy and the analysis relating to the Indian economy, what we observed in India after almost 83 days of lockdown, we have started opening up again, specifically from 1st June of 2020. But the state where we are residing, Maharashtra, lockdown, it continues till June 30th with plans of graded opening. That is what we are going to do. All market areas, shops, except malls and market complexes from June 5th on odd and even basis. That is what we are now attempting, that how to have the kind of social distancing, and that we are trying to follow. So world economy as a whole going to look quite different, and this is what many of us are experiencing now, that how the changes would take place in Indian economy as well as in the outside economy. What are the likely changes which we can predict? As pointed out by just now by yours, that how the world will look like and what changes would take place relating to the number of cases. What would be the social system? What would be the economic system? Supply chain, we can predict that it would be much more local. I'll come to the details of this point shortly. And every individual country will try to manufacture now on their own, even intermediate products they would try to have their own, and therefore supply chain which we were having earlier, there is going to be drastic change in the supply chain. Trade in services, as we have been observing relating to education and other things, is going to change, and it is already changing. We are experiencing now, and we are meeting virtually and not the way we used to do it earlier. Interest rates going to be very low, and that is what India is also experiencing. But at the same time, there would be some other problems also. Inequalities will grow up between rich and poor countries. But at the same time, lot of structural changes are going to take place. These structural changes would be in agriculture, these structural changes would be in industry, labor laws, and so many changes they are going to take place, not only in domestic economy like India, but even you would experience the changes taking place in the outside world also. It will take a lot of time to take that growth path which we were having earlier, and to restore the economic activities. Let us try to understand that this crisis is altogether different, and therefore solutions also have to be different. We cannot find out what we did earlier, because earlier we never faced such kind of crisis, and this is something where there is abrupt and sudden stop of the functioning of the economy due to COVID. We experience wars, and after war economy recovers. One country helps another country, but when all the countries are facing same problem, who is going to help whom? That is going to be the big trouble. And therefore, in this situation, what we are observing, that economists, they have displayed both strengths and weaknesses of their profession. And fortunately, 99% agreement you find in the economists, that government had to be involved, and it could not be just the central bank which can overcome the problem. And therefore, this kind of crisis which we are experiencing, I would say it is worse than the financial crisis of 2008, which cropped up in USA and later on spread it over to the different parts of the world. And therefore, in that way, we have to understand the crisis which we are facing is altogether different. What is the problem of this pandemic? this pandemic does not treat everyone equally, because you have differences of income levels, purchasing power, migrant workers, salaried workers, and therefore you have different impact on different people. What we have been observing in many countries, they are all the time talking about that our energy demand has reduced by more than 6%, CO2 emission has reduced by 8%, and that is how we are getting encouraging responses in terms of the ecological balance. But what I look at it, given the number of deaths and the economic trauma, this historic decline in global emission is absolutely nothing to cheer. So even though we feel proud that we can see Himalaya now from nearby, and straightway we can see it from the longer distance, and we feel very happy regarding it, but at the same time one has to remember that there are lot many deaths, and people, they are facing lot of problems, and therefore there is nothing to cheer as such about it. Now the problem is that how this global economy is falling out. What is expected that there should be steady flow of money, goods and services, and people, they are required to make them flow, and that is essential to help any kind of economy. And therefore, from the point of view of economics, and as a student of economics, I would say that recession is going to be inevitable. There is going to be the drop in terms of the levels of income, prices, etc. How far we would be succeeded in recovering this situation? And many a times we talk about that there would be V recovery or U recovery and L, and we have worked out this, that in which situation you can find that recovery is of V shape. V shape recovery means it will fall down, there would be recession, and immediately we will recover. U-shaped recovery shows that it will go down, continue for a certain period of time, and then it will start recovering. And L-shaped is that once it starts falling, there is no chance of recovery. And therefore, these are the different kinds of analysis which one can make. And if government and Reserve Bank of India's role is proactive, then there is a possibility that we may have the U-shaped recovery, and that will help to revive the economy and to go back to the normal situation. So pre-crisis growth trend, when we calculate an actual growth, then you get two parts, that is old and new parts, and the difference between the old and new, that would represent the damage to the economy. So we have worked out what was the situation prior to COVID, and after COVID, how economy started moving, and then we tried to find out what is the impact of this COVID-19. One thing is certain, that it has reminded the lesson that everything is interconnected and everything is interrelated, and that is the lesson which we have learned. So when one member of the family falls sick, the entire family, it gets affected, nation is affected, and then other communities in other nations also affected. So that problem never remained for a particular boundary of the nation. Problem also crosses the boundaries, and this in a pandemic has taught us that we have repercussions on different kind of countries and life on earth, and that is how we can now experience that kind of interconnectedness in the system, and this is what you call as anubandha, and that kind of interconnectedness we have to realize now. So economic activity is hard when there is sickness and death. So it is not just financial crisis, but there is a sickness, there is a death, and therefore economic activities are becoming more complicated, which were never happened earlier during financial crisis and other kinds of crisis. Western Europe, they are estimating that it will go down by -6%. So there will be negative growth rate in Western Europe. USA is expected to go down by 2.8%. China growth rate would be 1%. India probably would be 2.1% if this 20 lakh crores package is implemented in the best possible manner. Otherwise, it would be around 1.5% or so. So a lot depends on the measures and their implementation, and we are expecting that this kind of stimulating package would help the economy to revive. Most sufferer sector, I would say, is MSME, and India has experienced that. Our number of MSME sector, they are around units, they are around 7 to 8 crores. Number of workers and the kind of misery which we have experienced and people started migrating, their number is about 15 crores, and hardest hit is 15 crore people. Obviously, this is one side of the story. Another thing is government is also facing the problem where they are experiencing fall in the revenue, and revenue earned by the government is about 20 lakh crores every year. But in this period of time, if we make the analysis, reduction in revenue is more than 5 lakh crores for this particular period itself. So one can imagine how the revenue of the government is going to reduce further. Another important point which needs to be kept in mind, that there are certain sectors which are functioning and there are certain sectors which are not functioning at all. So we call it as essential services. So 20% is the contribution of defense, health, communication, mining, electricity, water supply. This sector is contributing 20%, it is functioning. Agriculture sector, roughly about 15 to 20%, that is functioning. So we can say 35% of our economy is functioning and almost 65% is not functioning at all. It has stopped. And that is actually the worrisome issue. And therefore, we have been losing roughly 2 crores of rupees per week because of this kind of problem relating to pandemic. Under the period of lockdown, we have lost about 18 to 20 lakh crores of income, and large shock is coming from exports. And that is again the another channel which needs to be analyzed, that how the exports are falling. States, individual states, they would be losing about 4 lakh rupees, and therefore 4 lakh crores rupees. And therefore you find center and state relations, how they need to be developed and how there should be coordination between the states and the center of the economy. What kind of stimulus package government has announced? 20 lakh crore package. Roughly, if we make the calculation, per capita comes to 20,000 for family. It becomes 1 lakh. If you assume 5 members in the family, so 20,000 multiplied by 5 comes to 1 lakh. Liquidity support by RBI given 8 lakh crores, but if it is not utilized by small scale industries, it will go back to RBI. So it is expected that small scale industrialists will approach banks, they will take loans, and those loans will be utilized for reviving the economy. And therefore, the effect on business and GDP, you will find if people come forward and if they take loan. Otherwise, again, you will find that growth rate may not pick up. 3 lakh crores for small scale industries, and that is for guarantee which government is going to take, and that guarantee government has assured. 45 lakh enterprises would be benefited with the help of 3 lakh crores collateral free automatic loan. I have given you the number of how many MSME units are functioning. They are 7 to 8 crores. Out of 7 to 8 crores, 45 lakh enterprises would be benefited. Government has worked out that how many are really having the problem of non-performing assets. They are identified from 7 to 8 crores of units, and they have realized that 45 lakh enterprises are such that they are going to face the problem of non-performing assets, and for them this stimulus package is announced. So there is going to be the possibility of operational issue which one can see, and because of that, some individuals, those who are strong enough, may be able to derive that benefit and others may not. And therefore that operational issue problem also needs to be analyzed in order to see how these 45 lakh enterprises would be benefited out of this particular package. Many times we say that crisis, it is always an opportunity, and India does not perform except there is crisis. So we can expect that this crisis is going to teach us lot of lessons, and we would come out of this. Atmanirbhar Bharat is such kind of idea which is generating, and there are combination of different alternatives relating to this Atmanirbhar Bharat. As we know, the definition of MSME has changed. Micro unit now, it was for manufacturing investment 25 lakh and for service unit 2 lakh. For the first time, there would be no distinction between production and service sector. Investment up to 1 crore, turnover 5 crore. First time turnover is included. That is the change which you find in the package. And investment up to 10 crore and turnover 50 crore for small. For medium, recently they have made the change. Earlier, when finance minister made the announcement, it was 20 crore investment with turnover 100 crore. And this definition, now it is widened further with the suggestion of the industrialist, and now it is 50 crore investment with 250 crore turnover. Foreigners will not be allowed to submit tenders up to 200 crore in order to give protection to the small, micro and medium units. And these are the changes which are brought recently in the context of COVID-19. We are expecting a lot of changes going to take place in the consumption pattern and the demand for the commodities which people are making. We can expect that there is going to be the rise in demand for health and wellness products. People will go for it. Nutrition profile, they will give the priority. And as I said, local producers, they would get opportunity now to come forward. And in Gujarat, khakra is very popular. So they have brought recently the Corona khakra in order to show that how it has nutrition value. Suraksha stores, safe stores would be gaining importance, and one can expect that apart from mall, probably our old retail kirana stores, they would be probably benefited out of this. And therefore, vocal for local, as pointed out by our Prime Minister, that probably would be the kind of situation where you will have to maintain distance, safety and hygiene, and that is how retail trade would become popular. Of course, e-commerce, it continues to be important. Now, what would be the situation of education as we are experiencing, particularly after COVID? One has to keep it in mind that universities, they are precious national assets, and there is unique shock to this sector. As we have been working in this particular sector, we are experiencing the problems we are facing. Online learning that has started, and all faculty members, students, they have responded to it. But what I feel that this is not only restricted now to students and teachers, but even parents are equally now involved in the whole process, and their responsibility has also increased. Home environment, what kind of environment you are providing to learn online technique, that also is important. And corporate India should be made aware that now our education system is through online. So there should not be any placement problem, and that is going to be the challenge for the education sector. There is, of course, issue of access, appropriate device, whether people are having laptops, access to Wi-Fi or not. And government in this situation needs to be enabler, evangelist for online education to flourish. And if they come forward, probably this would be the new norm which we talk about, that people would be getting education in this particular manner. There would be different kind of education, and we are in a situation when fundamentally education, everything is changing. And therefore, our board of studies, our system of university also needs to be tuned up, flexible in response to the changes which are going to take place. And what we are experiencing is altogether different. As I said, there was natural disaster or there could be student strike, but it has never happened in this magnitude globally. And therefore, that is going to be the challenge. So fraction of students who will have device and will have bandwidth and connectivity, they would be benefited, and there should not be any kind of other inequality problem, or what we call as digital divide problem should crop up out of this process. And for that, care needs to be taken. Global realignment after COVID, which you are going to discuss in detail, and I felt very happy when I saw this particular topic of your conference, how the global realignment will take place. I'm watching my time, and I have some another 5 minutes, and within 5 minutes I'll try to sum up. So economic changes will shape the political agenda in the post-lockdown world, and what we can expect that there will be pro-economic nationalism, and it is accelerating, and that is what we can see the way Trump's policies are framed. And of course November elections we have in US, and therefore you find that process of deglobalization. Earlier it was globalization, now everybody is talking about how to have the kind of nationalism and how to have the production in your own economy alone. And therefore that is going to be the new world which we are going to see. So Trump accused WHO, and he said that it is China centric and it is tilting towards China in the functioning of WHO, and therefore you find that kind of Cold War is further continued. India needs to rethink over it because we are relying on China, and public perception you find that it is negative, but at the same time we have to remember how much we are depending on the China for our manufacturing process. So as I said, economic nationalism. So decoupling means you are not coupled with economies now. You will have decoupling, you have protectionism, you have populism, and economic nationalism probably would be more popular in the coming days for the different countries. And the most important is how to have our internal market going. And therefore I say that number one victim of COVID-19 epidemic is going to be the globalization, and there would be globalization retreat, and probably this process would be halted. So what is the lesson for this? So economic ideology is identity of every country and realization of economy, and then you find that globalization is affecting our culture, and all these kinds of discussion is going on. But one point which needs to be remembered, that economic system of the world has become increasingly fragile, fragmented, dangerously unbalanced, and therefore this COVID-19 has taught us lesson that how you must have your own way of manufacturing process. You must have some kind of dependence on the other countries also, but too much dependence can create a lot of problem. And therefore the last point which I would like to make, that India should rethink now about process of decentralization. Distribute opportunities, then distribute output. And if you distribute opportunities, probably we would be able to tackle the problem of migration, labor, and other issues. Social harmony, one has to remember that this is equally important. Creating capabilities will be the basic priority, and one has to remember that we are facing double shock. We are facing supply shock as well as we are facing demand shock also. And therefore this health of economy and health of people both are equally important. We cannot just say that health of people needs to be taken care of and health of economy will automatically would take place. That will never happen, and therefore both are equally important. That realization must come, and killing economy is like killing people, and therefore we have to create positive mood that will lead to better decision making. So we have to create hope, compassion, affection, caring, tenderness. These are the things which are going to be very powerful, and you need to make sure that you don't fall in loneliness. Otherwise we are facing the kind of problems because of loneliness. Yesterday unfortunate incident happened in Mumbai. That should not take place again, and therefore policy makers, their job is not to provide solace. Their job is to provide solution to the problem. Our job is to provide solace, and solace is what we do in mind, and how to change that mindset and to create that kind of affection and caring and tenderness environment. I'm sure that and I hope that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and therefore we would be able to come out of this crisis also with the cooperation of the domestic economy as well as with the cooperation of the other countries of the world. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to make my views on this particular topic. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable speech and for brushing our ideas regarding economy. Now, if participants have any questions, you can put your questions in the chat box. Dr. Vinayak Deshpande, sir,
Yeah.
can I ask you personally the questions,
Sure, sure,
or
sure, sure.
would you like
Go ahead.
to read from the chat box?
No, no, please go ahead.
Some questions are there.
Yeah.
I have sorted some
You
questions.
read it so that we will be able to save time.
Right, sir. The first is how much time will economy take to come out from the drop?
Okay. See, as I said, that we are in a situation where economy has dropped. Normally, we are having 8%, 7% rate of growth, and we were expecting that we are going to be the $5 trillion economy in another 2 or 3 years. Unfortunately, the kind of economy in which we were moving, it was around $2.5 trillion, and we were trying to catch up that $5 trillion economy. This pandemic has brought our growth rate to 2%. Now, how far and how much time it would take? The kind of package announced will start giving response, provided people come forward. If people are made aware that what kind of benefits they are going to derive out of this package, and if they come forward, then only there is a chance of recovery. I am expecting that you may find, and this is, I think, very important to understand, you may get signal that your economy is picking up, but that may be the wrong signal. And therefore, you have to think from a longer perspective, longer point of view, and probably it would take another 2 to 3 years to revive and to come back to the normal situation. It all depends on how fiscal measures are implemented and how common man, including consumers and producers, are responding to the changes which are taking place in the system. Skill development also is going to play a very, very important role. Unemployment is going to be the critical issue. How we handle these problems, it all depends on that. And unless investment comes forward, unless we get new investments, probably we may not be able to catch up. And that is what for we are waiting, that there would be new investors, they would come forward. And good thing is Maharashtra, they have signed yesterday MOUs with different kind of companies, and there is a possibility that revival will take place.
Thank you very much, sir. The another question is, will the government take measures to save economy by putting burden on common man?
So see, if you find that there is a burden on common man, ultimately the functioning of the economy, as I said earlier, depends on how people are helping the economy to go ahead, and how common man operates. He creates demand in the market. So if you don't give sufficient money in the hands of the common man by way of wages, by way of salaries, your market is going to suffer. And therefore functioning of the market is based on, especially I would say, middle class consumers who make demands in the market. Now the challenge would be how to strike a balance between the technology and the manpower. If you go on replacing manpower by modern technology, artificial intelligence, and so many things which we are talking about, probably labor would be replaced. But replacing labor is not the only problem. When labor gets replaced, demand also comes down. So you may have the situation that there is production, but there is no takers for this production. And therefore our challenge is how to strike a balance between technology and manpower, so that their purchasing power, they would be utilized in order to create demands in the market. Like we find recently, agriculture sector is doing very well compared to other sectors, and growth rate is more than 3%. But if production, and that is calculated on the basis of production, but if people are not coming forward to buy these agricultural products, then there is no guarantee that farmers will get the income. And therefore I would say that in order to revive the economy, government will have to have the positive role, especially in spending of money for the welfare, not only for the welfare, also for creating demand. Because if demand gets affected, whole economy gets affected, and therefore that part needs to be taken care of.
Thank you very much, sir. The another question is from our side, that how we can solve the problem of migrant laborers.
See, migrant labor problem, because we have seen this problem from very close quarter. We interacted with migrant laborers when they were moving from Nagpur by Shramik Express to UP and other parts. The basic problem was that construction industries provide shelter to the migration labor. And you find that construction industry, when it collapses, basic problem always occurs for the migrated laborers. And therefore, we have to realize now one thing, that laborers, those who are coming from the different parts of the states, when you are giving them employment, when you are providing them work, and if local labor is not available, then you have to have some basic facilities, accommodation facilities for these workers. And therefore, during this period, we have seen that how Kerala government is giving treatment to the migrated workers. And let me tell you that there they don't call them as migrated workers, they call them as guest workers. And therefore, now that kind of model probably will have to develop, that how we treat these migrated laborers. Now, those who have left and gone to their respective places, it is expected that they would come back. But if they don't come back, then local labor will have to be made available. But what those people said, that they are coming from the longer distances, they would go back, and there is a possibility that now going back to the agriculture sector may not be possible for them. Working in industrial sector is still prestigious, and industrialists are expecting that these workers would come back. This is one side of the story. But another thing is, again, we have to rethink that how to create employment, job in that respective places, and how to avoid the problem of regional imbalances. Like we find from Vidarbha, people are going to Mumbai, people are going to Pune. One of the important reasons is that this region is not developed to the extent other regions are developing. And therefore, time has come to find out how there can be the balanced regional development, and backward regions like Vidarbha or Marathwada, how they can be developed so that the problem of migrated laborers in Mumbai or in Pune can be solved to some extent. How many Mumbais you can create? You have new Mumbai, then again new Mumbai. This Mumbai is expanding because people are migrating. And this migration is taking place because there is no sufficient purchasing power, income levels in their respective places. And therefore, to my mind, decentralization would be the best solution in order to overcome the problem of migrated workers.
Thank you very much, sir. A last question from the YouTube platform. What kind of businesses are more beneficial in the new economy, whether they be rural or online-based businesses?
I think that IT industry, it will progress, and particularly because of digital platform, that is the only alternative available. And therefore, this digitalization and the jobs relating to digitalization, industries relating to digitalization, they are going to prosper in the coming days. Another important area which needs to be taken care of is about the psychological problems which are going to occur because of this. And therefore, we have to give focus on that particular issue also. How you can treat people, and how you can keep that calm mind, and what kind of changes you can bring it. And therefore, that area also probably will be gaining importance in the coming days, because that is totally neglected area. So psychological aspect will be important. Along with that, certain industries will flourish. And as I said, local manufacturers, those who are manufacturing quality goods, where there are nourishment, where people are trying to switch over to the consumption pattern, those kinds of local industries, I expect that they will have good days in coming years. And therefore, that skill development would be required for the local level also.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your precious time. Now, I would like to thank you on the behalf of Mahatma Gandhi Arts, Science and Commerce College, Armori, that you gave us your precious time and valuable knowledge. Thank you very much,
sir.
sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.